Hi, and welcome back to Chemistry 1032 Lab Online. I am your host, Dr. Russell Betts, and I'll be guiding you through today's experiments. Lipids. Lipids are yummy. They taste good. They're in almost all of our food, and we as humans love to eat them. Part 1. A student will calculate the calories from fat in a food item. So grab an item off your pantry or out of your fridge. Make sure it has a nutritional label. Read off the serving size. Read off the calories. Write all this stuff down, and also write down the grams of fat, both saturated and unsaturated fat, please, total fat content. And we're going to calculate the calories from that item. In part 2A, a student will examine the models of different lipids. So I have a video for you where I've built some professional models of lipids. I just want you to look at them and draw them to get an idea how they look. In part 2B, we're going to learn the difference between cis and trans, fatty acids, cis fats and trans fats by looking at models that I've built. In part 3A and B, you're going to build your own models. You're going to pick two different lipids and you're going to build them with your candy model kit. You're also going to build an example of a cis fat and a trans fatty acid. That way you can really see the difference, hold it in your hand, the difference between the two fats. In part 4, I'll show you how lipids are used in our society by making some soap. It's a fun experiment. Just a little too dangerous to be doing at home unless you have the proper safety equipment. And part 5, a student will perform a test for lipids on food products using a simple paper bag. Part 1, fat content in a food item. Very similar to calculating the calories of carbohydrates in a food item. Here we're going to use the grams of fat in a serving size to calculate the calories from fat in that serving size. After that, we're going to calculate the percentage of calories from fat in our food by simply dividing the number of calories from fat in a serving size by the total calories in a serving size of our food. Okay? In part 2A and 2B, we're going to look at some molecular models that I built for you on a video. And you're going to just draw these molecular models in your data sheet. Now, what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for you to look at the model, get an idea of how this model looks, and also to get an idea and a respect for how complicated some of these molecules really can be. You will have to be able to identify these molecules by sight. It's not as hard as you think. And in part 2B, you'll be looking at the difference between cis and trans fatty acids. Let me discuss that shortly here. When you have a fatty acid, you have a carboxylic acid here and a long hydrophobic tail. If the hydrophobic tail contains a double bond, it is considered unsaturated. And unsaturated fats can have cis and trans, what they call stereochemistry. Okay? So here, this is an example of a cis fatty acid. Why? Because the hydrogens are both pointing in the same relative direction. They're both pointing up towards the top of our screen. Now, this one's going up to the left and this one's going up to the right. It doesn't matter, they're both up. So this is cis. And this bond, this double bond here, is trans because one hydrogen on the carbon that's involved in the double bond is going towards the top of the screen. The other one that's on the other carbon involved in the double bond is going down, and that's known as trans. Very simple. Part 3, build your own models. Here you just pick two lipids from the list. There's like 4 or 5 of them. Just pick 2 and make the lipid using your candy model kit. Now I've shown you how to make double bonds. I've shown you how to make carbons with 4 bonds. I've shown you all that. You should be able to do that on your own now. You shouldn't need much help from me. So go ahead and give it the old college try and see how you do. Again, we're not looking for perfect. We're just looking that you get the idea. And you're also, so you're going to have to build 2 lipids from the list in your manual. And you're going to have to build an example of a cis fatty acid and a trans fatty acid because I really want you to see the difference in those 2 fats. In part 4 of today's experiment, we'll be doing a saponification reaction. Well, I'll be doing it for you. I'll be using baking shortening, Crisco essentially, and I'll be treating it with a strong base, and that will saponify, which is another word for hydrolysis. It'll break down the fat into glycerol and the salts of fatty acids. And that literally is soap. And it's very easy to do. Can be done at home if you know how to do it safely. I don't think it's that safe to do for students, so I'm going to do it for you in a video. Part 5 of this experiment will involve you using paper bags to determine if a product contains lipids. It's a very simple experiment. You just need a paper bag, or even a white piece of paper will work. You're going to take something that you know contains fat, such as, a piece of fried chicken, butter, anything, oil, for example, anything like that. And you'll be able to do this experiment and tell if something contains fat by whether the paper is translucent or not. It's kind of a fun experiment to do, so you'll be required to do that as well. Now with that, I want to wish you all good luck and good chemistry. We'll see you soon.